You are listening to Unleash Your Creativity with Omashola, where creativity is showcased in its many dimensions. A time to celebrate, empower, inspire, and equip creatives with thought-provoking interviews and up-to-date information.
Hello once again and welcome to my show, Unleash Your Creativity. This is the time I get so excited because we have the opportunity to explore creativity in its many dimensions, and these continue to unfold every week. We've got hobbies, we've got crafts, we've got passions, we've got skills, and that's just the beginning. Now, I know I have listeners who've been tuning in every week. Thank you. And I know I have some new ones that will be tuning in today. So I just have to make sure that I let you know why you're here and what it's all about. So this show is where we showcase creativity, breathe creativity, live creativity, embrace creativity, enjoy creativity, and the one I love the most, we celebrate creativity. And my aim is to have this as a platform where we can equip, empower, share ongoing experiences, new experiences, past experiences. I can assure you that everything has a link some way, somehow to creativity. Now, today we have another interesting, amazing guest with me, and she's smiling. That makes me smile as well. And we're going to be talking about a very, I would say, a sensitive and an exciting topic as well. Almost like an oxymoron, passion, pain. How do they link? But we're going to find out now. You know, I always have a word, and my word for today is mind shift, because I know by the time we finish and I finish exploring and having this amazing conversation with my guest, you will find out the link between mind shift and her story. Now, I always like to have a stage to set in terms of context. So I've looked up what they say about mind shift, and I only found one that really sat with me, and it says a change in your mindset. So we're talking about mind shift, and it's saying a change in your mindset. So I said, you know what, I can add to that. And I said, I would like to consider mind shift as a mental shift, a mental switch, a catalyst for change, a conscious action stemmed from a place of deliberate decision to do something differently. Now, that's all my definition put together. So you're free to use it. Now it's time to introduce my guest, and she is in the person of Olaide Aderemi. And it's really nice to have you on the show. You are welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yay. Drum rolls here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, we have a lot to go through, and, you know, I get excited. So we're just going to try and see how much we can get through within the hour. And I'm going to start off by asking, I've looked at your bio, very, very rich as always with all my guests. And I said, how am I going to start? I'm going to do something different. I'm going to ask you to just tell us a little bit about you that has nothing to do with your bio. And I'm going to give you some hints. This is an open book exam. Something like your favorite color, your food, your holiday destination, something in that line. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on this show. Well, like you said, my name is Olaide Aderemi. I'm married with 2 boys. My favorite food is anything to do with plants. It's all plants. Anything plants, I eat. Also, my favorite color is actually brown. Okay. And I love traveling. I love traveling with my husband. I love traveling with my family. I love traveling with friends, you know, just having fun. The destination I really want to go to now is Maldives. I've never been there. Okay. So that's one on my list.
Now, I know there's more to you, but at least thank you for that icebreaker. So at least those listening would be able to connect. And we're going to talk a lot about plants today.
Yes.
So in your bio, you said that you are experienced project management professional.
Yes.
With over 10 years experience in various industries, including civil service, financial services, logistics, and academia. For me, that is a very wide range. So I just wanted to find out, what was the common thread working with all these industries? Because it's one title, many different areas, industries.
Well, like I said, I was doing project management. So even though it's various industries, it's very similar. Whatever you're doing in project management, whatever tools you're using, theories you're following, is still the same thing when you go to different industries. So really, it's just the normal project management duties that you do in trying to deliver projects for your organizations, and also working with people, working with stakeholders. it's the same thing. It's just in
Okay.
different organizations, really.
Okay. Now, I may have people, and I really like to break things down and be very plain. I might have people that will say, okay, project management, what is that? So what is
So
project management?
So project management, in short, is so you're in an organization, they want to introduce a change. For you to be able to introduce a change, it has to be in a project form. So you manage the project from end to end, making sure you're aware of all your deliverables. You're talking about the funds you need for the project, the people you need on the project, the kind of skill set you need on the project, and everything that you need that is going to make that project successful for that organization.
That's quite interesting. When you were talking about project management, something popped into my head, and I'm just going to say it anyway. I want to say you must have, a lot of experience beyond the 10 years experience that you mentioned. Because if you have a family, if you have children, if you have a husband, you're project managing all the time.
And that is it. And, like I said before, it's different organizations. So my home too is an organization. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? So managing my home, it's the same thing. Yes.
The only difference is that you don't have an end time. It's continuous.
Yes.
That's a continuous role.
You are listening to Unleash Your Creativity with Omashola, showcasing creativity in its many dimensions.
If you saw the caption that went out, we said pain into passion. And it's almost like a twist, because I normally say your passion comes from something you enjoy doing, something you like, but life is not always a straight route. And sometimes we find our passion in not so much pleasant places. So I'm going to look at the word, again, I love words, and I'm going to look at the word pain. And I was trying to find something that would define pain. And you would not believe pain in itself did not give me that right feeling that I wanted. So I looked at an accompaniment, which was agony, and it says an extreme physical or mental suffering. So I know that we're going to be talking about certain things that might be sensitive to other people who are listening, in addition to my guest in the studio. So if for any reason you feel uncomfortable, remember that there is help out there, and make sure that you do seek that help from any of those organizations. So now my question to you is that your story of what you do right now, which we're going to go into later, started from a place of pain.
Yes.
And before we go there, you mentioned in your bio that you talked about lifestyle diseases. Now, that particular word obviously would be very familiar with you. But even looking at that word, lifestyle diseases, what does that mean to our listeners?
So lifestyle diseases are diseases that are formed by your lifestyle. So, for example, you might have it in your genes, but it will lay dormant in your genes. It can lay dormant for the rest of your life, but your lifestyle will activate those genes. So say, for example, we have type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure. Those are the kind of lifestyle diseases that we activate the genes with the sort of choices we make with our lifestyle. So that's why we call them lifestyle diseases.
Okay. Yeah. So now let's dig a bit deeper, and let's, as you desire to share with us how it all happened for you and how this has now set you on the journey. So my question really is that we start with your own personal, your loved one's story and the impact that it has on your life and how it's changed your life.
My story actually started 4 years ago. So 4 years ago, I lost my brother to a heart attack. So my brother I would say he was a bit overweight. Everybody, some people are overweight, you do so many diets, up and down and up. So he wasn't really managing his blood pressure, high blood pressure properly with his lifestyle. So like I said before, he ate junk food as well, and, every other thing. So I lost him 4 years ago, like I said. And you know how it is when we're on high blood pressure tablets, you think, oh, I'm on high blood pressure tablet, nothing can happen to me. I'm already managing the condition. But the truth of the matter is, when I lost my brother, I realized that no, you might be on high blood pressure tablets. If you do not change your lifestyle, you can still suffer a heart attack exactly like my brother did. I remember vividly when we had to go into his house after it happened, his tablets were on the table for me, which says that he was taking the tablets, but what still happened. So that was a wake-up call for me when he died. And when I say wake-up call, because I was on high blood pressure tablets as well. And then I had been on it for 13 years.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, I'm using this tablet the same way my brother was using it. Something has to give. Something has to give. So that was the beginning of my journey.
Wow, wow, wow. Now, what was the most challenging mind shift action you had to take from realizing, because I was talking about mind shift, realizing that this has happened, there's a possibility I'm doing exactly what I feel or assume, I'm taking the tablets, if not anything else, that you were taking the tablets. So what was that most challenging mind shift action you had to take to really take action?
For me, the first thing I had to do is do research, because for you to know what you want to get into, you need to go and study what it is about. So for me, the first thing I did was to start researching. And so I have two other brothers. One of my other brother who lives in the States helped me quite a lot by telling me, do this research on this. I found this, start reading on this, watch these documentaries. So I started watching a lot of documentaries. I started reading a lot of articles, which started helping me to open my mind to what I did not realize was out there. Because we know we all like to be in this cozy comfort zones. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm already, taking my tablets. And some of us will even say, I'm already exercising. And I think I'm eating healthy. Now, eating healthy can be very relative. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So you're just cozying up wherever you're at. So for me, it was going to be like a 360 change. But before I could do that, I had to know what I was getting into, which was what I spent quite a number of months researching it to know whether this is something I can do. And the other thing for me was I had to pray about it, because it was going to be a big change in my life. And because I was going to be adopting something new, it's not something I'll be expecting the whole family to just jump in with me. So I had to think about how I was going to manage my family as well as manage what the journey I wanted to start at the same time. And I really thank God for my family. My husband and my boys are fantastic. They are so supportive. So that, I think, has made it easier for me as well.
So you would say that, talking about research, because again, research, you actually have to know what you are researching in order for you to research, because there is stuff on all sides. There is stuff for, there's stuff against. So that in itself was to navigate the research in itself was a job and a half. And just an example in terms of when you say research, were you researching the medical field? Were you researching so where did your research start? Because I know eventually it took you down to the plant-based route. But before then, what was the research like? Because you just didn't get up and go, this is what I'm going to do.
So I mentioned earlier, so my brother actually was plant-based. The eldest in the family.
Okay.
So he's plant-based. And the fact that he's plant-based doesn't really matter, because I think one of those days, I think he was watching a documentary on plant-based, and then that was where he saw that actually if you have high blood pressure or you have type 2 diabetes, you can prevent or reverse it eating whole food plant-based. So that was where my research started with what my brother told me. And that was how I started researching, eating plant-based.
Yeah. So again, I asked that question because people will be listening and going, okay, I've got a challenge. I want to go and research. What am I researching? But you were able to pinpoint through somebody else who was in, maybe that has been said over and over, but it did not connect until that particular time, because sometimes situations create awareness of things that you're not necessarily looking at or looking for. So your journey, you said that you had high blood pressure for you were on tablets for 13 years. What was that like? Very briefly.
So I think mine started when I was pregnant with my second child. And then after I had my second child, I don't know, it just progressed. High blood pressure can come in various forms. It could be stress, lack of sleep. So mine just progressed. And I think for me, I didn't pay too much attention because I was given a tablet. And when the GP gives you your tablet, they tell you, oh, you're going to be on it for the rest of your life. So maybe a part of me just accepted that I'm going to be using this for the rest of my life. Let me just get on with it, I would say. So I was happy to take the tablets. I tried, eating healthy. My exercise wasn't regular, but here and there, you do what you need to do at some point. So I think that was the journey for me. But like I said, I had a wake-up call. Unfortunately, my wake-up call was a big loss.
It was.
It was a wake-up call for me.
And you mentioned something there. You talked about, I mean, sometimes we can be very reliant on something once we've been told. And I think everybody, I mean, you say you've got a headache, people say take a paracetamol. Even if it's chalk, the fact that you've taken it psychologically,
yes,
there is a switch in your mind that says something's working. It's working.
Yeah.
And it's almost, so that there is a lot to do with the mind shift. So you must have now a robust life, or you would have, now it's not literally physical books. But you would have a stack of information about what you do. And I know we're going to talk about you actually now taking it to another level in terms of what you do. So again, there was a mind shift that, do you know what? The doctors have said to me, this is going to be for the rest of my life. But I decided to say, I'm going to do something about this. And we're not advocating for people to stop taking whatever it is they're taking. We're talking about your story. And
to add to what you've just said, when I actually decided I was going to change my lifestyle, I had to inform my GP. So it's not just me going on my own tangents and just changing just like that. No, I had to, even though my GP didn't understand what I was talking about, but I still had to tell them so that I could be monitored.
Fantastic. So that is key. Yeah, because I know you're going to be talking about what you did and what you now do as a life. I like the name. It's plant-based lifestyler.
Yes.
I like the name. So it's now knowing that you've now educated yourself in such a way that you are able to actually give back and to really dig deep into what you're doing. And that's where I say that the pain has turned into a passion. And the passion has, first of all, started with you in terms of, you know what, I don't want to die and I want to live a fruitful life, because you could live older, but it's about living older and living well.
Yes.
And then you decided from that to say, hey, I'm now going to share this knowledge with other people. And that is what I am really excited about. And I want to say thank you so much for really sharing, what is really deep, but I'm also grateful that it's been a catalyst for amazing change.
You are listening to Unleash Your Creativity with Omashola, showcasing creativity in its many dimensions.
Now, this is where I'm going to read some of the things that my guest has said about herself. She is a certified whole food plant-based coach and founder of Plant-Based Lifestyler. I'm going to say that word again because I just like it. Lifestyler that works with individuals to prevent and reverse lifestyle diseases using plants to nourish and heal their bodies to live in optimal health. Now, I love that because I get to get free consultation as well as the people who will be listening. So listeners, get your notepads and get ready to write, because I know after this, you're going to get charged. So what is plant-based lifestyle? Because when you spoke to me about it, I went, yeah, let me behave as if I know. So now is the opportunity for you to unpack and tell us, what is it and how did it help you first before we talk about you using it to help others?
Okay, so remember when we were talking earlier, I said I did a lot of research, my brother helped me, and I came to the point whereby I thought, okay, I read so many stories, watched documentaries on people that actually reversed their lifestyle condition, eating whole foods, eating plants. And so I thought, well, if it has helped them, then it will probably help me too. And then I decided I was going to do it. Now, there's so many ways of doing it, but I did mine cold turkey. I wasn't gonna start in bits. I just went full on, and that was how I started mine. And like I said, I had to speak to my family, because right now in my family, I'm the only one that eats plants. My boys and my husband, they try bits here and there, but solely I'm the only one that eats plants, and I have to manage everybody. My husband is fantastic, to the point that I don't need to cook for my husband because he knows I don't eat what he eats.
Wow.
And it would be unfair, for me to be cooking what I don't eat. So
wow.
I thank God for my family for that.
Let's do a shout out to him
Yes.
and say thank you. That is really, really awesome. Because I wanted to ask, and I'm going to let you carry on, but I just had a question because when you said you went all plants, I know you're going to break it down and tell me what all plants mean.
Yes.
But I could just say to you, I know maybe people might not know, but I eat healthy, but I'm also thinking plants. That means no vegetable soup, no. I'm not saying you're gonna re-educate me.
Okay.
But when you said all plants and you went straight in, I just saw all those delicacies in quotes just flash before me going, no. So please educate me. What does that really mean?
So when I say I eat all plants, okay, so let me just start from the scratch. So when you're eating plant-based, it means that you are eliminating all animal products. And I say all animal products. So this includes your dairy, your eggs, your beef, your chicken, anything that comes from an animal is eliminated when you're eating plant-based. Also, you eat minimally processed food. So, there's so many processed foods all over the place. So you're only allowed to eat minimally processed foods. So for me, when I say I eat plants, I talk about eating whole foods. So for example, I eat whole grains, your normal grains like your oats, your quinoa, fruits, your vegetables, your legumes, your nuts and seeds. So it's quite a broad variety of things to eat. When you talk about eating plants, what everybody sees is like grass or they see salads.
Exactly.
No, there's a lot more to eat, quite a lot more to eat than that.
Can I ask a quick question there, which might help because I can get people are thinking. And yeah, she is African. So,
yes, I am.
So just to put the picture in place so that people know. So if you don't mind, can you just talk me through a day's meal? Say for instance.
Okay. So do you want me to say what I eat as in my African meals or what I eat
just
in
talk
general?
Me through
so
day,
for example,
your day. What
for
would
example,
you have?
in the morning, I would say 98% of the time I have my oats. I just love it. So I have my oats with my plant milk and I put my bananas on it. I mean, people you can put your berries, whatever fruit you fancy, you can just chop it on top of it. I mean, it's not only oats that you can have. You can have bread with, but I don't eat bread all the time, just, once in a while. There's a bread called sourdough bread that I'll get. So you can have your bread, but you can do pancakes. So when you're doing your pancakes, you can use oat flour for your pancakes to make pancakes. You can have smoothies as breakfast as well. But like I said, I choose to have my oats because I know that when I eat my oats, I'm not hungry until lunch. So I don't even need to eat anything in between before I have my lunch because it makes me fuller for longer. So typically for my lunch, I could do bulgur wheat, stir-fry bulgur wheat. I don't know whether you know bulgur wheat.
Yes, I have some healthy lifestyle people around me.
Okay. So I just do a stir-fry with bulgur wheat. Remember, my stir-fry, I don't use oil because, if you're trying to prevent something, oil is something you're not supposed to be using. Oil is high in calories and it has no nutrients really. So you're just piling on the calories if you're adding oil to your cooking. I'll probably have bulgur wheat stir fry with lots of vegetables in it because vegetables is very good for you. And then for my dinner, I can have what I call different kind of beans. Like you can have kidney beans, pinto beans.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, and I can have it on its own, or sometimes I do grilled plantain.
Okay.
And I have it with grilled plantain. So but there's so many things. I tell you, even as, us Africans, we actually have a lot of plants we can eat as Africans. I think for us is the way we prepare it.
Yeah.
So it's just changing the way you prepare what you eat. But there's variety in our foods as well.
Oh, fantastic. Now, I know you mentioned someone like me who I love to nibble. So maybe I might have my oats, but it's a mental thing. My brain hasn't shifted yet. So I might still want to. So I know you don't have it, but if somebody's thinking, okay, I like that. But what about the snack? What can I have as a snack?
So as a snack, you can have any kind of fruits you fancy. You can have vegetables. So when I say vegetables, you can have carrots, you can have cucumber. Just do your hummus. Don't buy the one in the store. It's very easy for you to make at home and, do your own dip with it. You can have popcorn. When I say popcorn, it's just, if you buy the kernels and then you just put it in the microwave, pop, and it pops. You're not putting any sugar or anything like that. You can put like paprika seasoning on it to have it, because depending on the lifestyle disease you're trying to reverse, even your salt, you have to reduce your salt drastically. Personally, I don't eat salt, but you have to reduce it. So there's so many kinds of fruits you can eat. So it's not just one fruit. So there's
I'm listening.
there's variety
People can't
here.
see me in the studio, but I'm looking. I'm like, okay, she's talked about fruit for breakfast. She's talked about fruit for snack.
Yeah.
Okay, she's thrown in popcorn. But what about all those other things?
So for example, ice cream, for example, you can make your own ice cream, not the one you buy from the store. So for example, if you wanted to make the ice cream, get bananas, put them in your freezer, frozen bananas. Once they're frozen, drop it into your blender, add any kind of other fruits you want with it. Voila, you have your ice cream.
I could actually see your eyes pop. It's like, sometimes people talk about food and I get hungry, but I'm trying to get hungry. Really trying to get hungry.
But you mentioned something fundamental at the beginning of this conversation. Mind shift.
Yes, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm good. I have my circle where I'm on top. But when I'm talking to you, I'm like, okay, this is another level. Back to, because, there was a reason why all this happened. So my question to you was that on that journey, because I now know that, or you can tell me, you are now tablet free.
Yes.
So you're tablet free. So how long did it take from that time that you started this lifestyle to when you actually, the doctor sat, because we're saying this, that you worked hand in hand
with my GP,
with the GP to say, do you know what? So what was that like? If somebody's thinking, okay.
So what happened for me was when I was going to start the journey, I had a conversation with my GP. I told her what I was going to do. She didn't even know what plant-based was. She didn't know. She didn't have a clue what I was talking about. But I told her, I'm just going to be eating, grains, vegetables, seeds and nuts, fruits, and all that. And what she said was, okay, I need to monitor my blood pressure. So I have a blood pressure machine at home, which I was monitoring my blood pressure and writing it down so that when I go for my next appointment with her, she'll be able to see how I'm progressing with it. So, and then when I started the journey as well, I lost quite a bit of weight. At some point, I think it was about maybe 6 months to me starting my journey, I was having headaches, and I was thinking, I shouldn't be having headaches. I'm trying to improve on my health. So I went back to say I was having headaches. So she was like, okay, let's try and reduce the tablets. That might be what is affecting me. So we did that. We reduced the tablets. And then I think it was like 2 months later, I thought to myself, no, I don't think I should be taking these tablets anymore. So I went back to her. I said, look, I don't think I should be taking these tablets anymore. If my blood pressure, we're looking at the readings and it's like this with just half of what I was using before. So she now said to me, okay, we're going to do like a trial for 6 weeks. She said, okay, for 6 weeks, you're not going to use the tablet. And then what I need you to do is make sure, like I had a food journal and then I took my blood pressure every other day. After the 6 weeks, I went back, she looked at everything and she was like, wow, and you've lost so much weight as well. She said, look, I don't see any reason why you can't come off this thing. So she said, so I'm going to bring you off it. And then even though I'm off the tablets, I still take my blood pressure, regularly just to make sure everything is fine. So that was my own, my journey with my GP. And it was really, like I said, I told you she didn't know anything about it. So I had to even tell her a bit about it. Apparently, they don't really do anything about nutrition when they're studying medicine. She was telling me, like she said, that's why, we have dietitians, we have nutritionists and all that we don't really go in depth into nutrition when we're studying medicine. So that's...
You did that education.
Yes, I did.
That is such an amazing story. And I can tell from what you're saying here is that, if not anything, qualifies you to be a certified whole food plant-based coach because
Yes.
you've lived it.
Yes.
You've
And I'm still
lived
living it.
and you're
Yes.
still living it. And, but the fact was that you're not telling me something from the textbook.
Mm-mm.
You are a living proof of what that journey was like, is like, and continues to be.
Absolutely.
So that's that's what, when they give you a rubber stamp of approval, you are the rubber
Thank
stamp
you.
of approval. So what I'm taking from this, and just one quick question I'm going to put in there is, you told me about you. So as a coach, because you do now practice as a coach to help other people.
Yes.
What does that entail? What would it be? I mean, not giving away the package as it were, but why would they come and what would they, I go to the GP, I know this and this and this, I can take my blood. So how does that work as a coach?
As you mentioned, the most difficult part for most people is the mind shift. I mean, a lot of people that are on tablets for type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, some people pre-diabetic, they tell you, oh, I really want to do this, but to shift your mind, that's the real challenge for a lot of people. So I work with people to let them know I have done it. So obviously it's possible,
Yeah.
When you put your mind to something, you can achieve it. That's just it. It's not putting your mind to it and putting all your energy there. If you do, then you can achieve it. So what I usually do is I work with people. So I have different programs I do. There's a 6-week program. There's a 3-month program, depending on whichever one, works for the individual, where I take people through the whole journey. I usually say to people, you don't have to be like me to go cold turkey. It's better for you to do something you can sustain. So it's very individual. Some people might be like me, they will go cold turkey. And some people will say, no, I can't do it. I have to start gradually. It's fine. At the end of the day, it's a journey and each person is on their own journey. So that's what I do, basically help people. We go through the journey. And then even after they've stopped my coaching, I still check up on them. The door is still open to say, okay, if you're still struggling with anything, you can always, come back to me and I help them, because life happens to people. Some people will do so well for the first 6 months and then life happens and they're like, oh, I can't continue with this. Yeah. And then you help them, remind them of how they got there and
so I actually chose a really good, sorry to cut you there, I really chose a good word, mind shift, because I was just thinking,
yes, you did.
Mind shift.
You are listening to Unleash Your Creativity with Omashola, showcasing creativity in its many dimensions.
I tell you one thing that I said I was going to say. I just saw eggs fly, because eggs are one of my favorites. And I'm like, no, it's going to take a lot of my shift to stop me from eating eggs. It was like, I just saw, so you'll have to do a lot of mental work on me for that. And for those that know, me, the show is also about, this particular series is about transitioning, people transitioning from their, from doing what they love, whichever entry point into a business. So I just want to ask, first of all, what was that light bulb moment when you decided to say, okay, I'm doing this for myself. I've healed myself. I'm on a healing journey, because you said it's continuous. When did it go, do you know what? I can actually do this as a business. And I'm going to piggyback something you can roll both in. What tip can you give to our listeners that somebody didn't give you when you started your business journey? What would be that one tip to say, well, if I knew this, my journey may have been different, but I'm okay. But,
I think for me, the light bulb moment would be keeping my brother's memory alive. I thought, if I can help people from dying from heart attack, that's just the best gift ever. And that was it for me, that look, this will keep the memory of my brother alive and help people live in optimal health. I'm like, for me, it was a no-brainer. And that was how I thought, yes, I'm going to do this as a business. And which is why even right now, I'm even doing like a course with University of Winchester as well. It's a plant-based course, because you have to keep on improving on what you know so that you're able to help people. For me, it's just to keep my brother's memory alive. And like you said, what tip? Now, the truth of the matter is, when you're starting off a business, it might not start off the way you think it's going to start off. So I thought thought, personally, I thought, oh, wow, especially in the African community, I tell you, the percentage of people that are on high blood pressure tablets and type 2 diabetes tablets is quite high. So I was like, oh, I could just see people, people coming to me, I'm helping them.
No.
And then I realized, no, it doesn't happen like that. So you have to be able to manage your expectation. You have your customers out there, you might not get them immediately, you would still get them, but it probably not be as immediate as you think it would be.
And that's an amazing tip for people to hold on to. It's about patience. Yeah. I'm going to do a shift now. I ask this question to every person that comes on my show. What is your definition of creativity? What does that mean to you?
Well, I think creativity is personal to each person. So what your hands find to do and you can do it well, then you can be creative with it. Whatever it is your hand finds to do.
I like that. You know why I like that? Because there's no more excuse for anybody, because people will tell me I'm not creative, so there's no excuse. So everybody is. I'm not letting you off, because on your bio you also said you're an accountability coach.
Yes, I am.
So I really wanted us to quickly squeeze that in. Somehow that you're an accountability coach. But I'm going to do it in a different way, because one of the things I do also, the last segment of my show, is I do Did You Know? So I go looking about these accountabilities. So it's not a test. So it's just an awareness. And then you may or may not agree with me, but these were things that I researched and I found out about accountability. And I found it because so there's so many here. I'm just going to pick randomly the ones that and then you could see whether it ticks your box and there's anything else you can add. So it says accountability involves setting clear goals and expectations and measuring progress towards those goals.
Absolutely.
Another one, it says accountability can be difficult, but it is essential for personal and organizational growth and success. You agree?
Yes, I do.
It says accountability. I like this one. It says accountability is not about blame or punishment, but rather about learning from your mistakes and taking action to improve.
I agree with the three. Seriously, it happens all the time with clients. I totally agree. Like this last one, some people will think because they fall, I don't need to, oh no, I can't do this anymore. No. So you made a mistake. Yeah, we've identified the mistake you made. So we're not going to go down this route anymore, because we now know that this is not working, and then we need to find somewhere else to go.
So I have given 3 of mine that I researched, so they're not mine. So what would be one that I may not have mentioned that you would add that you do as an accountability coach? And what tip, or maybe just weave it into what tip? Because I always like my listeners to go away with value. What would you give them to start now?
It's just holding your hand. Literally holding your hand. The thing is, people are intelligent. People make plans. They draw out plans. They know what they want to do on paper, So it's not that people are not intelligent. They're intelligent. They know what they want to do, but it's for them to achieve it. So literally holding your hand to achieve the goal you've set for yourself. So it's not my goal, it's your goal. So I'm just going to help you each day. We're going to break it to chunks, weekly chunks, daily chunks, monthly chunks on what you need to do to be able to achieve that goal that you want to achieve. It's your goal, and you'll achieve it with just me helping you by holding your hand. That's it.
Fantastic. That's really good. So what I would pick up from that is that what maybe somebody could go away with today would be find somebody that you can be accountable to.
Yes.
Within your environment. Find somebody that you can be vulnerable with.
Yeah.
Did you know that there are a lot of accountability coaches out there? So I want to mention some of the names, because I just need you to know I did a lot of research.
That's good.
So I'm going to mention 1 or 2, and then you can add in if those that you think are yours. I think it's important that I enter your world for the hour. I mean, I've done course with Tony Robbins, but I would never have thought that he was considered as an accountability coach. There's Marshall Goldsmith, Brendan Burchard, Mel Robbins,
Burchard, yeah.
John Maxwell.
Yes.
Darren Hardy, Brian Tracy.
Yes.
So are there any others?
You've mentioned, you've
clearly
mentioned yeah. You mentioned the ones I look up to and research. So
Fantastic. I should have reversed that and asked you to tell me who are
first,
yours. And then I could have,
Yeah.
okay, do you know what? Tell me who are yours. Delete. You did not hear what I said. Who are yours?
I would say Brian Tracy.
I like Brian Tracy.
Is one that I really, he has so many things. Seriously,
Yeah.
he has quite a lot of stuff that you can use. And to be honest, which I used and I was successful with, which is why I'm trying to help people to be successful with it as well.
So we've given them one good tip there. Go and find out about Brian Tracy, because our in-house accountability coach has rubber stamped, endorsed. So you go find out about him. We started with Mind Shift and we're ending with Mind Shift. And through your life, through what you shared, you've definitely shown us that it's possible. So I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out. Thank you so much. And
thank you so much for having me. I've had a really lovely time.
How can we end the show without finding out where we can find you? We're giving everybody so much stuff and then we're leaving them cliffhanger. So where can we find you, Olaide?
You can find me on IG at Plant-Based Lifestyler. Also, I've got a website, plantbasedlifestyler.com. Thank you.
Fantastic. And I have to say to all my listeners, bye for now.
You have been listening to Unleash Your Creativity with Omashola, showcasing creativity in its many dimensions.